one way to make more and better disciples, to mobilize you to be disciple makers, is to help you understand how do we reach lost people. And maybe even one of the questions I get often when we're talking about like how do we reach lost people is, who do I reach? Like, who are those people? So one of the tools we have for that is something we call the Missional Map. A Missional Map helps us begin to think about and identify the people in our life who are close to us but not to God, and then start to understand how do we reach those people with the gospel. And so Mutheu, what I want you to do is I'm going to put your name here in the middle. We're going to create your missional map. So Mutheu, I want you to think about who are some people in your life that are close to you but not to God. And you can be vague for the video's sake. You can be vague about who they are. But if you're doing this, we actually want you to write actual people's names in these spots.
Yeah, so for me, there's the first one that comes to mind is one of my neighbors. I'm just going to say Nay. Okay, maybe I'll put the burr. One of my neighbors comes to mind, and her kids. I think of the influence I have on her kids. So I'm going to put that there. I also think of someone in my family. I'm just going to say fam one as code so that it can give you some ideas. Maybe there's someone in your family who is far from God but close to you that you can put on there. Also, I have kids in sports, so I'm just going to put the sports world, but you would be more specific. Is it a coach? Is it another parent? Who would you be thinking about in the sports world? And then I think there's also, for me, an opportunity around my kids' friend groups. So there might be people who are in my home often, and, sometimes they stay for dinner and we have conversations. So I would put, I'm just going to say kid friend, but you could put specific names. So maybe we'll stop there for now, just for the sake of this.
Yeah, Mutheu, when you think about where you got your categories here, just one more question. Are there other people that you know because of these people that are maybe a little bit more removed from you, but are other people that you know that don't know God because you know these people?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. In this space, I feel like there's a huge field around it for sure. That's probably my contact with the most people outside of church.
Yeah. So we would encourage you to write as many names as you can of people that you know that don't know Jesus. And then the next side of the missional map, Mutheu, if I'll draw over here a little chart here, with this being the intensity of your relationship, so the depth of the conversation. Some people with their neighbors, they talk about really deep stuff, but they only see them a few times a year, especially this time of year, it's cold. And then this is the frequency. So this is how often you spend time. So sometimes, some people in our lives, we have a lot of time we spend it with them, but we kind of keep it on the shallow end. So if you looked at these different people in your life that don't know Jesus, where would you put them on the frequency and intensity? And I'll switch spots with you.
Okay. I think like for the sports, I would put it here. Which is often, maybe here. That I see them fairly frequently because we're always at practice and always at games, but I can't say that our conversation is super deep. So I would put them there. Is that right? Here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
And then for my family, I would say it's super deep, but I don't see them a ton because I live 8,000 miles from my home. So I would put the family person I'm thinking about here.
So those are the people where when you see them, it's like no time has gone by, but you just don't ever see them.
And it's deep and intense conversation right away, but then I don't see them a ton.
Yeah.
And then for my kids' friends, I think I would put them like here because I see them a fair amount and I am shamelessly the pastor mom friend. So I do ask them spiritual conversations. I mean, my kids hold me back. They're like, Mom, don't be like that. So I'm trying to navigate that emotional intelligence wise. Who else? My neighbor. Yeah, that is a very seasonal thing. Like when it's warm out, I see them all the time. But now maybe 3 times in the winter. So I don't know what I would do with that, but somewhere.
Yeah. So then what we do with the map is then we say, okay, a next step for you in each of these relationships would be to either increase the frequency or increase the intensity. One thing I really love about this tool, though, is connecting it to that idea of reaching the one. Who is one of these people that if you focused on being more frequent, having more often interactions with them, or that if you just took a next step in the intensity, it could help you maybe reach them with the gospel.
Yeah. Oh, you're asking me
Yes,
right
I'm
now.
asking-
Yes.
yeah.
I'm like, yes, that's so good. Okay. I'm really thinking about the family one because that's on my heart. And even though they're far away, I think we could be more intentional about talking more often. And I think that they would respond to that. I don't think it would be a hard next step. So that's the one I'm thinking about right now. And then I think for the sports one, I need to get out of my comfort zone and just chat with more parents, get to know more names, and, begin to hear stories beyond the parents I already know and I'm comfortable with. I think there's a huge opportunity there.
Yeah. One of my favorite stories about the Missional Map, right after I learned this tool, I shared it with a high school student who wrote down so many names, because high schoolers, they're so connected to so many people at school. And she just started to say, man, I really want to be a light to these people. Maybe I just need to start by praying for one of them. And I said, okay, just don't take too much time. Just who's the first name on your list that comes to mind? And she said a name, and she started praying for them. And a few months later, she came back to me. She goes, oh my gosh, the door was opened for me to invite them to come to something that we're doing at church. And so she did. And just what a cool story. I hope this missional map is useful for you reaching lost people as well.